sportsradiodetroit.com.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wrestling Fans here on sportsradiodetroit.com. I'm Marty. With me, as always, the best tag team partners I could ask for, Adam and Ben. Adam, my man, what's going on?
Not too much, Marty. How you been lately?
Well, I'm on the DL from work. Some of you guys know I was an idiot and I ran over my foot with a lawnmower. So I've got infinite time on my hands for the next few weeks. I've been watching a lot of pro wrestling. Long-time listeners will be overjoyed, or at least less annoyed, to hear that I have finally seen the Cruiserweight Classic in its entirety. I know Ben was excited when I finally told him I watched it. Ben, it was enjoyable, but aside from that, how have you been, man? I know you've been filling in on some other shows.
Yeah, I've been a busy bee. Me and Roger locked down 2 major partnerships in the last month, so that's been pretty crucial. If you don't know what those partnerships are, one, everyone knows that I'm a high school sports writer, so I have a natural connection with high school sports. And my mom grew up downriver in Wyandotte, and we had an opportunity to connect with Wyandotte High School, and for the first season, broadcast all of their home games. So if you want to listen to Wyandotte football on a Friday night, live, mind you, you can on sportsradiodetroit.com. And also the major partnership that we got, thanks to Pete Spivak. If he's listening to this, he's a radio friend who does the Whippin' Nay Nay podcast. We are now a part and the first podcasting partner of the Detroit Sports Media Association. So what that means is basically anyone that you hear on terrestrial radio, if you're watching the Tigers on Fox Sports Detroit, Trevor Thompson is the president of the Detroit Sports Media Association, and we're basically now members of that, and we're going to help facilitate any podcasting that they want to do in the near future, and in the not just near future but distant future. So it's been busy. The plate's been full, but in the 5th year of Sports Radio Detroit, we continue to go onward and upward, and yeah, so life's been interesting.
And that's great to hear because this network has become a big part of what I do. And it's been a blast. So I'm glad to hear that things are progressing nicely.
Yeah. Well, here's the best part. We've been looking for a fantasy football home, and starting this week, we know Adam does fantasy football. He was kind enough to write for us the first division preview. So if you haven't done a fantasy draft, which will be coming up soon, that will be on Sports Radio Detroit. You can get a preview of the AFC East, who to draft, maybe some sleepers in there if you want to be the smartest guy in the draft room. And yeah, so you guys continue to grow with the site as well. It's great.
Yeah, it's and Adam, let me take a minute before we get to the show. I want to say the work you're doing is outstanding. I love reading your pieces, and I just keep up the good work, brother, because it's clear that you enjoy what you're doing.
I appreciate that, guys, and yeah, make sure you guys check out not only Sports Radio Detroit, Gridiron Experts. I got a bunch of fantasy football stuff coming. I'll be doing every division in football before your draft starts, so make sure to tune in and get all the info you can. Go win a title.
There you go. Are you guys ready to get into this? We got some stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah.
This month, depending how you want to look at it.
Well, how about this? First question. Who came back from their injury the quickest, Braun Strowman or Marty Stouffer? Go.
Strowman. Because I'm still on the DL.
Well, you still have a shot to beat his record, though, so you're good.
This is true. Yeah, they won't clear me to work for another 2 weeks, so I should be back something like the 7th or something like that. I should be back to work.
Are you going to pop out of an ambulance, too, like on some random guy's route and just beat the crap out of him?
I thought about it.
You should.
I mean, you should totally do that. Just like stand up and just go, ah! The guy's gonna be like, "What?" And then just like clothesline him, and then it'd be the greatest opening ever.
and the shortest employment streak that I would have ever had. But it's so worth it. As we all know, the Mae Young Classic is coming up in August. I believe it's not live. That's one thing that's kind of bothering me. I think they're doing matches now, and I believe the finale is going to be live. They've announced the field, but before we get into the big names in the field, the broadcast team has been announced. It's going to be Lita and JR, and I'm excited for that because Lita has been, along with Stephanie, one of the pioneers behind getting the women's division to where it's at now. We all know her history. We all know the things that she's done. I'm a little leery on JR, though, and this is just a personal thing. As I've kind of gotten away from JR. I listened to him on the G1 special that New Japan just had, and like he's still good. I don't know if maybe it was the I don't know if it was Josh Barnett. There was some chemistry issues there. It was just it seemed weird kind of hearing JR's voice calling matches again. I don't want to say he lost it, but it doesn't sound as as crisp as he did beforehand. But I'm excited to hear what Lita can do. Adam, what are your thoughts on this JR and Lita pairing?
Well, I'm a little bit reverse to you because I'm not like super pumped to hear about Lita. I mean, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. It's a recognizable face. It's something that can maybe bring some casual fans in that maybe don't know a lot of the names in the field, which would include me because I looked it over and nothing really jumped out at me as far as the names of the women. But I mean, I don't see any event that probably wouldn't be made better by Jim Ross on commentary. I think it lends a gravity to it. I think it helps give it credibility right off the bat. So I'm kind of excited to hear him maybe in a different setting because at least he's not going to have Vince McMahon in his ears, and I think that will always help. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that end of it.
Yeah, that's true. He did say when he did the, I believe it was the Undertaker's match, they kind of let him have free reign. He did Undertaker's finale at WrestleMania. He said that they kind of let him do his thing, and they let everybody else kind of be chirped at in the ears. Ben, what are your thoughts on JR and Lita pairing? Are you excited for it? Are you leery for it? Do you not care?
I'm very excited. I get nostalgic when it's Jim Ross because outside of Vince McMahon being the play-by-play guy and Gorilla Monsoon being play-by-play, Jim Ross is the guy I grew up with. And it's kind of funny, if you ever listen to my play-by-play work, you can tell, and I'm not ashamed to say this because he did a really, really good job. Vince McMahon inspired me and kind of molded my play-by-play career. So I can kind of give him a tip of the cap to that. But I'm excited because, like I said, I get nostalgic. I am going to be so thrilled because, as I've said before on this podcast, I purposely am going in blind, not really knowing who is going to be in this tournament. And I did the same thing with the G1 Summit when it was being broadcast here. And I enjoyed it. I thought, the partnership, as you said, Marty, with Barnett didn't really work that well. But I think since Lita grew up in the company with Jim Ross, there's going to be a natural comfort there. So I'm excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, and it's and that maybe it's just because of the chemistry with Josh Barnett. I mean, I'll respect what the guy's done in the octagon in the ring. He's terrible on commentary. It's other people may like him. I just think he's dreadful. He's just awful. Like, he tries throwing in puns, and I can't think of any right now. It's been a while since I've listened to him. It was the last time I listened to him was that G1 special. But like, he'll try to throw in jokes in there, and either JR's just not getting them, or the puns just don't make sense. He was just really, really off. Before we get into the next topic, Ben, you watched the G1. Adam, I don't know if you did. Ben, what were your thoughts on that G1 special? Because to me, that was arguably the best weeks of wrestling I've seen in a long time.
It was really good. Considering I didn't really know all the competitors that were fighting in it, to be quite honest, I got such enjoyment out of it. I got enjoyment out of the matches that were there. And it was kind of interesting to see how they tried to mesh, and you could tell the setup that they did. If you've ever seen Ring of Honor on TV, that was the setup they had, but with a stage, like an entrance of what they have at New Japan Pro Wrestling. So you could tell they visually tried to merge the two together, which I thought was interesting. And the matches were entertaining. I mean, there wasn't any kind of lull in the matches or anything like that. And I enjoyed it. It was really fun. I thought it was a well put together show for anyone who wanted to randomly catch what all the hype is about these G1 tournaments.
Yeah. The only things I didn't like, and they were both minor, was they like at the halfway point of each night of the show, which was Friday and the following Friday, they did like an interlude, like in between, like right at the halfway point of the show. So like literally all you could do was listen to Barnett and JR recap the first half of the night. I didn't really care for that because it was just like it kind of put a lull in the show. And then I didn't really care for the way they had the tournament itself set up, because they had like all the big names people were gonna know, Jay Lethal, so on and so forth, on one side of the bracket, and they had all the New Japan guys on the other half. So it was kind of like, I kind of figured it would be Omega and Lethal in the finals, and that's not what we got. We ended up getting Omega and Ishii, which I thought was really strange. I really figured they would kind of put big names on each side of the bracket and kind of build up, not discrediting what Ishii and those other guys could do. Tetsuya Naito was quote unquote the biggest name on that half of the bracket. He got bounced in the first round, maybe even second. It was really weird the way they had it set up. But those are minor complaints, because the in-ring quality was top notch. Even from Billy Gunn, who had 2 matches at that special, which I was surprised to see the guy could still go. He can still put on entertaining matches. That was pretty surprising to me.
Yeah.
Adam, did you get to watch any of that at all?
You know what? I haven't been able to really catch anything of it yet. I'd like to go back and watch it because I've heard nothing but good things. But unfortunately, I didn't have. Friday night's not a good night for me to watch TV. That's for sure. We're working on it right now.
Yeah, I would start off the night, like I would watch like the first hour, and then I go to bed at 9, so I get up and go to work. So I would DVR the whole thing, and then I would watch it the next day or whenever I could. Like each night is like, what do you think, Ben? 3.5 hours long?
Oh God, it's like 4 hours.
Yeah, it's long. It's long.
It is a marathon. It is definitely a marathon. But having said that, though, I really miss tournament style pay-per-views.
Yes.
Like, I want them to do a classic King of the Ring where it's not just, it's the semifinals and the finals. I want like the full 8 rounds that night.
Yep, I think that would be outstanding. But I don't know if they would actually ever do it again, unless it's a special like the women's tournament, like the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right.
I personally would love to see them do a legitimate tag team tournament. I think that would be awesome. Maybe have 1 or 2 WWE NXT tag teams, and then bring in tag teams from other organizations, just to see what people were kind of feeling. But, and Adam, I'll get to you in a second on this one. As I was watching the CWC, I found out that they did have a tag team tournament. It was the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic right after he passed.
Yep.
And it was kind of weird because it's not like a traditional format. It's throughout several episodes of NXT. And Adam, I know you don't like them, but you've been watching NXT longer than I have, and Ben, I'll come to you as well. One thing I noticed in the first round that I thought was really, really weird, the Ascension was in it. That's not the weird part. The weird part was the standing O that they got from the crowd, and welcome back, and then they jobbed to Rhino and Corbin. Adam, we've talked about the Ascension a million times on the show. What do you feel is the main difference between the Ascension being on NXT and Raw is? Like, does WWE just have no faith in them at all unless they're in NXT? What am I missing?
Well, I mean, I think you could probably say the Ascension is the difference between the main roster and NXT is symptomatic of almost every single guy who's come from NXT. Most of those guys don't really get a fair shake, with the maybe the one exception of Kevin Owens. I understand, like, okay, Reigns and Seth Rollins, those guys came from there, but they didn't get the rocket put to their butt right away as far as single competitors. They had each other to lean on. They had 6-man tags. They had all that. When they brought acts from NXT to WWE and they haven't made much changes, it just seems like I don't know if like maybe backstage they just don't want to give them the time of day. I don't know if there's no faith. I don't know what the deal is, but like look at Enzo and Cass. Yeah, they were over from the second they walked through the door because everyone knew the catchphrase. WWE never got behind them.
Nope.
Not until maybe right now when they split Cass up because Cass is a big dude and you know Vince McMahon loves the big guys. I don't know what the answer is, but you can certainly trace, through the past couple of years of WWE, when the acts are brought up and they're not tweaked and they're not, given something new for the main roster, they just seem pushed to the side. And you saw that with the Ascension. They got jobbed out within a month to 50-year-old guys. And after that, nobody's ever going to take them seriously.
No. And Ben, there was something I noticed, like everything the Ascension did in the first round of this tag team tournament, of course, for them it's the only round. Like I said, they lost. Everything they did, the crowd cheered. I mean, they were fan favorites, while Corbin and Rhino were the heels. It was kind of like a weird paradox to sit there and watch. It was kind of like, wow, these guys are billed as heels, but they go out to the NXT crowd, and they're getting cheered for clotheslines. They're getting cheered for punches. Everything they did got cheered. It was really, really weird. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, you kind of agree with Adam?
Well, it's not weird because when they were in NXT, they were a powerhouse. I mean, the Ascension was...
They were a buzzsaw when they were down there.
Yeah, I mean, they were like the Revival wrapped up in Authors of Pain type, like, really good. Like, Adam said it perfectly. They were a buzzsaw. They would have great matches, but they would also dominate their matches. Like, it wasn't... Like, there wasn't a debate when the Ascension came in to that ring, they were going to win, like, hands down. And it was going to still be a good match. So that doesn't surprise me at all, because that's the thing that I know if no one watches NXT, you don't get it. There's going to be a disconnect there. I understand that completely. But, like, even when they fought Breezango in Money in the Bank a month and a half ago, they easily jobbed to Breezango. And you're just like, and when you watch NXT, and Marty, I know you're just getting into it, when you watch NXT, like right when it was just starting out and getting to where it is now, you're just like, man, that's not the Ascension. Like, that's not who they are. And I give the guys a lot of credit, because they're clearly jobbing, to other wrestlers, and they're putting them over in relatively quick matches, because they're always putting quick matches of like a 10-minute time limit. But they have the ability to be a really solid tag team, and they just don't let them flourish. And that's the frustrating part.
It is. It's frustrating because, like, I'm not going to sit there and say they're world beaters. I'm not going to sit there and say they're phenomenal technicians, but they're clearly better than what we see on the main roster. Like, I remember when NXT first started, Adam, I was at your place. I forget what event it was. Charlotte took on Natalya in the main event. Tyler Breeze took on Camacho, and the Ascension was there. And I kind of looked at you and was like, oh, dude, these guys are awesome. And you were like, they won't do much with the main roster. I mean, you pretty much called it, like, right off the bat. What gave you that inclination? Do you even remember?
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of remember that. They had the look of somebody that wasn't going to get necessarily a fair shake on the main roster. They looked like somebody who's going to go up and either job out, or they were just going to be just another team. And I'm pretty sure at that point, like, the tag team division was even worse than it is now in WWE on the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there just wasn't a place for them. Even if they went up and performed well, what were they going to do up there? There weren't teams to really feud with to take seriously. That thing was just a wasteland, and the Ascension just weren't the guys that were going to change that on their own.
Now, wait a minute. Was that an intentional pun, or was that clearly by accident?
That was a little bit by accident, but it did work, so I'm going to take
it. 1 point to Adam. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, back, when they were down in NXT, and we were talking about, they were being talked about being brought up. It was like the Dudleys, the Usos, and I'm sure there are other tag teams that I just can't think of. But I mean, it really wasn't formidable. It really wasn't a good group back then. It's just a bummer now to see, see how badly they're treated there. It's a real shame. I mean, like I said, I don't think they're phenomenal, but I mean they're better than they're better than how they get treated right now. Back to the Mae Young Classic. The whole roster was announced, whole field. I've done a little bit of research on all of them. I'm not going to lie, like I haven't looked up every one of them, but there's 4 relatively big names in there, maybe more depending on your region and your depth of watching wrestling. But there's 4 really big names in there, and there's 2 they missed out on, and I'll get to that. But I'm sorry, 5 names. I apologize. The 5 big names in this tournament are Toni Storm. She's an Australian. She's real big on the independent circuit. She's probably one of the more heralded performers in the bracket. Tessa Blanchard, if you're familiar with the last name, if it's ringing a little bit of a bell, she is the daughter of Tully Blanchard, WWE Hall of Famer. Santana Garrett, who has been in and out of TNA for the better part of the past year. She's really talented. She's really good. Marty Bell and Mia Yim, who people will recognize Mia Yim more as Jade. They were in the Dollhouse TNA. Mia Yim actually, as Jade, she had a phenomenal hardcore match with Rosemary right before she left TNA. It was outstanding. There are other female performers in this tournament that have big names on region. Like again, depending on how much you watch wrestling, but I really, and this it's kind of like a miscue. I think they missed out on having Jessica Havoc and Kelly Klein in the tournament. I don't know if it's contractual obligations. I don't know if WWE just wasn't interested. I don't know. I mean, there's really only one quote unquote big girl in there, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name right now. But they're all built like Bailey, for lack of a better term. They're all kind of in the same make and mold. I'm kind of bummed they didn't get. Obviously, I'm bummed they didn't get Kelly Klein and Havoc, because I really feel the 2 of them could have brought their size and strength to this tournament. But that doesn't discount what the tournament can be, in my opinion. Adam, I know you're not as familiar with it. Ben, I know you're not as familiar with it. But going in blind, like I know you guys do, is there anybody in particular looking at this field whose name kind of maybe even Candice LeRae? Is there any name pops out that you're kind of want to go? I want to see what they can do. We'll start with you, Ben.
I really want to see what Tessa Blanchard can do, because I know she's been in NXT for a little bit now, and it seems like they want to push her, but then Ruby Riott, and what's her face from Sanity,
Nikki Cross.
Yeah, Nikki Cross. They're the ones getting pushed, and every time
and
though,
Amber.
Yeah, but she's still injured. Isn't so? Like,
she's back.
Is she?
Yeah, she's back. She just had a match with Ruby Riott this past week. It was show stealer.
Okay. Well, anywho, I mean, for a while though, when Blanchard was first debuting, they would give like the traditional backstory. Oh, second generation superstar, blah blah blah. It's someone like her that can really make a name for herself in a tournament. And I know, yes, it's all scripted, whatever, but we can actually see how she's going to transcend her heritage and make a name for herself. So that's always going to be a name that, you can always pay attention to, keep an eye on, and see what she can do, what she can bring to the table. And for that, it's exciting.
Yeah, and plus, the 3 of us grew up in the Blanchard era. We know what the Brain Busters were all about. We know what the Horsemen were all about. So Kelly Blanchard being an established name, that kind of helps casual, quote-unquote, casual wrestling fans who aren't as familiar with women's wrestling. They're going to look at that name, and that's going to be a flashpoint for them. Oh, I want to see see if she can be as good as her dad was, blah, blah, blah. Adam, is there any name that kind of jumps out to you that you want to see, or are you just completely unfamiliar?
Yeah, I'm pretty unfamiliar at this point. I mean, Tessa Blanchard, stands out, A, for last name, B, I've caught her on a couple episodes of NXT. Past that, I'm kind of like Ben. I just want to go in blind. I don't want to have, certain expectations from each match. I just want to be able to enjoy it without any preconception, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. So I'm just looking forward to it, mostly.
So I'm the only one going in with a horse to root for on this one, because I really want to see Mia Yim make a name for herself, possibly even win it. they're all these women are there for a reason. They're all legitimate competitors. They're all good at what they do. But knowing some of these females from other companies and things like that, like I can't help but have a natural affinity for some of them, and I really want to see Mae Young do well because I was a fan of hers when she was Jade. She really won me over in that hardcore match with Rosemary. She's outstanding. You know, her independent name, she's the War Queen, Mae Young. So it's going to be interesting to see if things get a little hardcore, if they stay scientific. Regardless how it goes, I'm excited for this tournament. I hope one of the four or five people that I've mentioned as the big names, I hope one of them kind of wins it. But WWE likes to throw curveballs. Like I thought for sure in that Cruiserweight Classic, you know, even though I knew who won, I kind of figured maybe it was going to be a Zack Sabre. Maybe it was going to be a Kota Ibushi that would end up winning it. But like, you know, knowing the outcome, like I kind of figured some of those guys got different pushes. It seemed like they were WWE was a little more behind them than TJ Perkins. Not saying that they weren't behind TJ Perkins, but you know, they kind of threw curveballs like the way the commentary was set up. You kind of figured maybe one of these other guys would win.
Well, I was going to say, Marty, you even mentioned, you know, with Cedric Alexander losing, you were caught off guard because the entire crowd was like, what the heck? And then, yeah, you see Triple H coming out being like, guys, it's fine. We signed him. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, just hearing you say that, it is kind of funny because, you know, you don't see the entire plan. You just see the storyline of the tournament.
Right. And, you know, and it was funny, though, because like I said, I've been a Cedric Alexander fan since the Ring of Honor. So seeing him in this tournament and him and Ibushi, in my opinion, that was the best match of that tournament. And I really enjoyed watching Gallagher and Tozawa. I thought it was really, really well. It was entertaining, too, to a point, but not so much to the point where it just kind of took away from the match. I really enjoyed that matchup. Next thing I want to get into here is kind of a bummer for me personally, Adam. I think you'll be a little upset too. It's been announced that Austin Aries has been released. Ben, I know when I told you about this, you were kind of like, well, that's okay because he was always hurt. But Adam, you didn't really say anything. I'm bummed about it because I love Austin Aries. What are your thoughts on it? Are you kind of like, okay, whatever, no big deal because he was always hurt, or are you kind of bummed too?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's not like he did anything special in WWE, but, you know, on the same side of that, like, he didn't do anything because he was always hurt. So I understand why he was released in WWE. It was just like, you know what, this probably just isn't worth it for either party. I'm more disappointed from the fact that we never really got to see him at full strength and got to see what he can do. Because Aries is a hell of a performer, and guys like that, you know, you look at what the little he was able to do, and it's just a bummer that, you know, he couldn't be in the ring a lot more than he was, because he's fantastic in the ring, and it's sad they lost him like that.
Yeah, it's even more sad that they didn't keep him on as a commentator. Like my God, how much better would that 3-man announce booth be if it wasn't Booker T, but it was Austin Aries? Booker T, like I have to mute it half the time. But as soon as he starts talking, I hit mute because Booker T he's so bad that he takes me right out of the match. I can't.
I mean, you could put a water bottle in place of Booker T in that 3-man booth would approve, but I mean, I agree. Aries was, you know, kind of found his way in commentary as well.
Yeah. Ben, we'll let you close the book on the Austin Aries. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, this is the funny thing, because when I think of Austin Aries, I think of NXT and how they bring in established names to learn how to wrestle in a WWE environment. And Austin Aries, we all know he's talented. All you have to do, go on YouTube, watch what he did in TNA. You know the guy can move around a ring, can be a high flyer when he wants to be, or be a very good, just solid wrestler all the way around. But he got injured a lot because of the style that the WWE does is quite different than what, you know, they expect from you in TNA, Ring of Honor, anywhere. It's completely different. You have to relearn how to wrestle. They aren't kidding. Like when you watch those, like inside the Performance Center videos, you see guys that are like, wow, you actually held a title somewhere and they're reteaching you how to roll? Like, what? No, it's a real thing. And it's something that is unfortunate because a guy that talented basically lost and wasted an opportunity because he kept getting injured. He couldn't acclimate to how they wanted him to wrestle, and his body couldn't take it. So it sucks. But having said that, I don't know why you guys hate Booker T the way you do. I like him. That's just me. I think on Raw, I think he's fine.
Here's why I can't take him. He's kind of got match by match. The way they book him is changes from match to match. Like there's some, like he'll come out and he'll put over Elias Sampson, which is great because I really enjoy Elias Sampson. Clearly Booker T's the heel for that match. But then in the very next match, talking about how great Bayley is and she's a great role model and blah blah blah. Like the way they book him just goes. It's very flip floppy.
But they
do
the same thing with Corey Graves. Corey Graves flip flops. I think what they're trying to do is add impartiality and get away from a traditional face heel commentary booth. Because Corey Graves does the same thing. Because he's like, oh, I hate Enzo. Enzo's garbage. That whole thing, and then the very next match he'll do the same thing. Like he'll be like, oh, look at what Bayley's done. Bayley's a fighter. She's living out her dream, or blah blah blah. And he doesn't always back every heel either. So that's why hearing that. That's why I was just curious where the criticism was coming from. That's all.
You're right. They do that with Graves, but I think Graves is
that he hides it better.
He does. He hides. I don't know if it's word choice. I don't know. I don't know. He hides it better. But I mean, like Booker T, he's another one. Like he'll say something that's supposed to be funny, and you'll just hear you'll hear nothing. You can just tell Michael Cole and Graves are like, what the F are we supposed to do with this? Like, where do we go from this? Adam, you feel like am I saying this right?
Well, to me, my issue with Booker T isn't like the flip-floppy thing you're talking about. He's annoying. He just squawks. And he doesn't add anything. Like, he says some of the stupidest things ever that, I don't know if he's saying them. I don't know if it's coming from the back. But it's not only not adding to what's going on, it literally detracts from anything happening in the ring. I can't stand him.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I was just curious. That's all.
And that's fair. That's why we do this. Next thing I want to talk about, two big names have announced their retirement. One of them is a TNA name. She's one of the originals. Gail Kim has announced that her in-ring career is coming to an end at the end of 2017. You could tell the Impact crowd was kind of bummed about it. I'm kind of glad because it's just she's phenomenal. I just don't care. It's just kind of like TNA, I should call them that. I don't know what they are. But Impact kind of, anytime there's a women's match, it doesn't matter who's in it, it always goes back to Gail Kim. Well, she's the best, blah, blah, blah. And it's, yes, in the ring, she's flawless. She's so good. But she never, aside from being, always a babyface, she's a terrible heel. She can't cut promos. She can't make you hate her. And I think that's why I just don't care. If you can't show me that you can be a heel as well as a babyface, I just don't. I don't have time for it, and I'm glad to see her go for that regard. I'm kind of bummed because another good in-ring talent that's gone from TNA, but it's also time. She's getting up there in years, and we've talked about it before in this podcast. Women don't have long wrestling. The other name was announced, not a surprise, still a big name. Mark Henry has announced on Table for Three with Godfather and Ron Simmons that his career is coming to an end within the next few months. And he's going to have a job within the company as a scout or an agent or whatever. He's going to be doing something with WWE. So he's still going to have a job there. His in-ring career, his TV time is going to be done. I'm okay with this. It's probably overdue. He's been around for almost 20 years now, 22 years, something like that. And the best thing he ever did is when he had the Hall of Pain or House of Pain, whatever it was. But he's another one. He was a big dude. He kept getting hurt every time you were thinking he was going to get to that next level, he would get hurt. And then when they would get behind him, it was just, I don't know, the booking was just kind of weird, or maybe the talent around him wasn't able to work with him. Ben, when you hear Gail Kim and Mark Henry on their way out, what are your thoughts?
Mark Henry is about time, because when he did that fake retirement speech, what was it now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago on Raw?
Something like that. Yep.
That was perfect. I thought he should have retired then, like actually retired then. Because it was the most heartfelt thing I've ever heard come out of his mouth. Gail Kim, at least when she was in like the WWE, like they tried to do the same thing that they do with Impact Wrestling, like, oh, she's the best, she's one of the purest athletes that we have, that's here. Except she didn't do anything, and it was just like, okay, like I know WWE squashes people. I mean, that's a thing. We all know that's a thing.
Yep.
But when it comes down to Impact, though, it was just like she was supposed to be like one of the main superstars, and it didn't even think like she could get to that summit there either.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, like, I'm sorry, Velvet Sky was more of a name than Gail Kim. Now, that, and Gail Kim could wrestle like circles around Velvet Sky easily. Granted, Velvet Sky had, the look that, everyone wants, and, that's probably a factor in it too. But that's why I don't have a reaction to like Gail Kim. It's like, I feel bad for her because it seems like she's being forced out because she just can't break through whatever fake glass ceiling is above her, which is quite frankly terrible. But, it just seems like it's forced. Like one, they outstayed their welcome. The other one seems like they could never get traction. So that I feel bad on both accounts.
Right. I'm happy with the Mark Henry decision. Like we've all said, it's time. It's clearly time for him to go. But he's had, all things considered, he's had a hell of a career. If you really sit down and look at it, like, he's had a great career for a guy that probably shouldn't have. He was never
for a
really,
guy that
like,
has four moves.
Right. And
a clothesline, a body slam, a splash, and what else?
Bear hug.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
That's his repertoire.
He headbutt people now. Let's give
5. Okay, so he has 5 moves.
So he was Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar was.
Hey, Brock Lesnar.
Hey man, John won 16 titles on 5 moves, so I don't want to hear it.
That's true. That's a good point. Adam, what are your thoughts here, Gail Kim and Mark Henry?
You know what, man? No diss to either performer, but neither one really moves the needle for me. Gail Kim was just kind of always there, I guess. It never was that big of a deal to me. And honestly, I thought Mark Henry retired actively like 2 years ago. So.
yeah, and that's a fair assessment. He really hasn't done much of anything. I want to get this topic out of the way because I know it's going to fire up Adam. It's one that's close to him because Adam's a big fan of this guy. Tommaso Ciampa is out until 2018 with a torn ACL, I believe it was. That's a bummer for the NXT roster because the feud between him and Johnny Gargano, I think they could have built NXT around that. Those two guys are so good. I'm the novice here. That's my thoughts on. I'm bummed because I wanted to do more they could do. Ben, I'm going to come to you, then we're going to give Adam the floor because I know when I told him about it, he was livid. So Ben, the floor is yours.
That sucks. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I honestly have not watched NXT in a month. That's my bad. But that's terrible because that rivalry and feud could have been something really, really special. Like, I'm talking like, and I've said it before on this podcast, it would be as memorable as Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels breaking up. Like, that's like the track it could have gone.
Yep.
And the fact they can't do that now blows. Like, I can't say, I mean, I can say that I feel cheated, but, and people are going to be like, well, wrestling's fake, whatever. Injuries are real because wrestling to a point is not fake, guys.
Right.
So, I can sit here and say I feel cheated, but it comes with the territory. So hopefully he heals and, or as he's healing or something, Johnny Wrestling, like, does a chop block to him or something. Like as he's like on the stage about to say goodbye or something, he gets like a chop block and then like puts him in a severe figure 4 or something like that. Something kind of like they did with like Seth Rollins and Triple H. Like you knew Seth Rollins clearly was 100%, or else he wouldn't be doing what he was doing, but still playing into a storyline that he was really only like 48%, but still had the heart of a champion to fight Triple H. If they did something similar to that, that would be awesome. But for right now, yeah, it totally sucks. It's awful.
Adam, floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I mean, obviously, this is, it's a really, really big disappointment. And it had been rumored for like a couple months before he turned on Gargano that his knee was pretty jacked up. And, it was surprising that he kept going out there, and especially in like a ladder match and stuff like that, where, the injury risk gets even higher. So you kind of started to think, okay, well, maybe it was just, he tweaked his knee. Maybe it's not as bad as being reported, but I mean, this could have been like feud of the year kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it's terrible for pretty much everybody involved. Yeah, the fans lose out. NXT loses out on what, like Ben said, that program could have carried them for the rest of the year.
2 years.
But, yeah, I mean, what really sucks is for Gargano and for Ciampa himself. I mean, you're talking about, a feud that could have been a breakthrough for both their careers and could have pushed them to new heights and everything. And not that Gargano and Ciampa can't recover, but I mean, it's a huge blow. Everything was set up for them, and now they can't follow through with it for probably at least a full year. And by that point, a lot of that momentum's gone. So this is one of the more disappointing, items to happen in wrestling in a while to me.
Yeah, I agree. And, I said in our little group chat when I was watching CWC, I really feel the match that Gargano and Ciampa had in the first freaking round should have been at least second, maybe even third round. Like, I kind of feel like they put those two against each other too early. There would have been more drama had it meant more than just going on to the next round.
Well, now you know why I put that as my match of the year when we did our end of the year end of the year awards on our.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, especially when Ciampa just started blasting him in the mouth with those hand slaps. I mean, he just waylaid the hell out of him, and it was interesting. It was entertaining. It was drama throughout. I just wish it would have been later on in the card. Maybe they did it just to kind of get it out of the way because it would have been too predictable. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity to have them go at it in the first round. Where am I going to go? Oh, here's an oddity for you. Major title changes hands at a house show, and they're running with it. AJ Styles wins the US title for Kevin Owens in a house show, which, we've all been to house shows. We've all seen it. That's the kind of thing that just doesn't happen. And when it does, it doesn't really bleed on over to regular TV because, they'll lose the title back to the next house show. They're running with this, which is good. I like it because it kind of adds a little more flavor to the U.S. title scene right now. How surprised were you guys to hear that AJ won the title at a house show? Because I was, on a scale from 1 to 10, I was at like a 9. Then I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe Kevin Owens got hurt. I mean, because they didn't really say anything. But it turns out it was just something they wanted to do. Ben, what were your thoughts when you heard AJ won the title at a house show?
I love it because outside of that, like house shows, as we all know, fun stuff happens, but nothing major happens. They'll still book hey, there's going to be a championship match between like so-and-so and so-and-so. If you're going to go, you're not going to see a title change hands. Granted, this house show, it was lucky because it was at Madison Square Garden where magical things happen no matter what.
Right.
So you had that going for it. But I think that's important because yes, you can go to SmackDown, you can go to Raw tapings where yes, titles sometimes even change hands on those shows, but it's not always. And it adds flair and reason to why you should go. I mean, outside of that, yes, you can get a cheap $10 ticket if you have a kid. Be like, yeah, let's go see the guys that we see on TV because the kid doesn't know any better. But you want something to happen. And I know for the past 2 years I've been railing on creative. because it irritates the hell out of me how lazy that department is. It really is insanely lazy. I don't know what they do half the time they sit around a table, because they don't do anything. And this would be a nice way to give them a nice little swift kick in the behind to do something, because it will help in twofold. One, you still have your cash cow of Raw and SmackDown, tapings that people are going to go to because they build up to pay-per-views anyways. People are still going to buy tickets to see the pay-per-view live because a title can change hands at a pay-per-view. We've seen it happen before. We'll see it happen again. But now you have even more reason to go to a house show. You can see weird tag teams like, Randy Orton being a tag team partner with, Bray Wyatt, or, Bray Wyatt being a tag team partner with, Breezango. Because crazy stuff like that happens because they don't really care. It doesn't affect anything one way or the other. But I think this will help those ticket sales, because at least here locally in Detroit, they keep promoting how on August 20th, there's going to be the last live show ever at Joe Louis Arena. Well, okay. Unless the title changes hands, I don't really care, because I know when the Little Caesars Arena opens up later on in the year, you guys are going to go to that, and I'm probably going to get a better show anyways. So why should I go just because it's the last one at Joe Louis? No, you have to pack something else onto it, and I think it's genius, because it does. It adds value to those house shows and gives people a reason to go to them. Because storylines can happen no matter in an information day and age that we're in now. Storylines can carry on over through house shows. Why not? You'll read on like comicbooks.com or Cage Side Seats or wherever you go for your wrestling gossip, IGN, wherever, WWE.com. If you just focus on, the main company's website, you can be like, oh my God, Baron Corbin cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase in a house show in Birmingham, Alabama, and became champion. That's going to get everyone's attention. And maybe he should do that, because that would be freaking awesome. It's like random, they go into like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You guys go to the show, you see Baron Corbin come out of nowhere, and he cashes it in. You know how much like nuts that would be? Like, I know the WWE did like that whole montage of like all the like viral videos and stuff like that of when AJ Styles won. That's just great publicity, because if a Money in the Bank briefcase was cashed in, that would be tenfold of what AJ Styles got. So I think, like I said, there's only an upside from it.
That's pretty much what Corbin said he wants to do. He was on Talking to Jericho, and they were talking about him. His plans for the briefcase. He goes, I want to do it when nobody's going to expect it. Because I don't want anybody even having any inclination on when it's going to happen. So, Ben, like you said at a house show, that's honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what he wants to do. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they would say, hey, we're here in Sheboygan, and Barry Corbin cashes, whatever. It wouldn't surprise me. Adam, what are your thoughts on seeing AJ win the title at a house show and them actually running with it?
I mean, it's not terribly surprising. If house shows tickets aren't selling well, which I don't really think they are right now, because I know the Battleground pay-per-view that is tonight, they were actually giving away tickets like half off at some point. Like they were running a Groupon special or something like that. So if they're not selling tickets,
the card looks like absolute dribble. So.
Well, it's true, but I mean, think about it. If you can't sell tickets in Philly for a pay-per-view, I would imagine your house shows probably aren't doing exactly what you want either.
Right.
So, you try and get people back involved in that. They were at Madison Square Garden, so that, the amount of history and everything there, that, that kind of ties in as well. And honestly, maybe, if Corbin wants to kind of break the mold as far as the Money in the Bank, maybe they're almost using this as a test case. If they get good reaction, they got all the viral videos, they got everybody talking about it on Twitter. Like you said, imagine if the actual championship changes hands like that. Yep. It very easily could be a test case to see what happens. So, I mean, you're always kind of surprised because they don't do it often at a house show. But in some ways, it makes a whole lot of sense for WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that WWE did that makes sense, they signed two big names away from Ring of Honor, and I'm not going to lie, guys, I marked out. I love these guys. I think they're phenomenal. I've watched them in Ring of Honor. I've watched them on IWGP. Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, better known as Red Dragon, a phenomenal technical tag team. They mix in, a lot of striking. Signed to NXT. Bobby Fish was on, I want to say this past Wednesday, I believe it was. He took on Aleister Black, and I looked at this and went, Bobby Fish is going over. It's a debut match. He's going to know. Aleister Black beat him. So it clearly shows that Fish is there to help young guys get over. O'Reilly, I want to say, debuted at a live event. Not entirely sure. But I do know they're both there. I know they're both signed, and I'm excited for it, especially if they're going to really help out some of these young guys down in NXT. Because guys like Bobby Roode and Eric Young, who I have not seen Eric Young in a while now, some of these guys, they need help helping these younger guys get over. Like even Roderick Strong is an established man. I'd like to see him help younger guys kind of make their case. Adam, I know you're familiar somewhat with Red Dragon because of Johnny Susan and myself talk about them quite a bit. What are your thoughts when you hear this? Because I mean, you've heard Johnny and I talk about them. You've seen my excitement through our group messages. What are your thoughts when you see names like this getting signed to NXT?
I'm not super familiar with these guys. I've heard you guys talk about them and everything like that. It's something that NXT kind of needs. They've had a lot of call-ups the past couple years. If you look at it like a minor league system, and I know we don't necessarily do that,
right?
But you still have to restock talent from somewhere. And, places like Ring of Honor and even to some extent, New Japan and the Indies and all that, that's where you're going to find, your next wave of guys. So I think it helps NXT. It's a bummer for Ring of Honor to lose guys like this, but that's kind of their lot in life, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. And Ben, I'll get to your thoughts in a second. I mean, when I told you those guys debuted, I was surprised at how many guys have actually left Ring of Honor recently. Fish, O'Reilly, Nakamura, Aries, trying to think who else. ACH, you guys probably aren't as familiar with him. He's in TNA now. Like, they've had a lot of big names. Granted, I know Nakamura was more IWGP, but he was on Ring of Honor quite a bit too. Like, it surprised me to see that they're still standing. They're still putting on quality product with all these big names leaving. So it just surprised me. Bobby Fish is not a young guy. He's 36, 37 years old, and he's now getting to WWE. Like, it's kind of weird timing, but at the same time, I'm excited for it. Ben, what are your thoughts on this? Are you excited about this?
I'm always excited when guys that bust their butt in the independent circuit get a shot at the big time. I mean, I don't think if you ever listen to this podcast, I'm never not excited about that. Right. Because it is. WWE is always the pinnacle. No matter what anyone says. And I know when I had my Omega rant, of him saying, I don't need to go there, he's lying through his teeth. Because It is the pinnacle. It is the mountaintop. It is truly... You can make millions upon millions of dollars, and you can have the one regret of, I never worked with the WWE. There's nothing more frustrating than being on their basically free agent list. It's their watch list. They have a list of names that they know of people that are out there, and you may be on that list for 15 years and never get that phone call. Never be like, hey, we know, like, every wrestler, and this is the thing, every wrestler knows about each other. It's a very tight-knit community. So it's exciting when you get an opportunity to get a shot at the big time. And yeah, this is where, like I mentioned before in the podcast, you get to see what it takes to make it into WWE, learn their camera angles, learn how they want you to bump, how they want you to roll, and everything like that. And essentially from there, morph yourself into what you are, what you want to be, essentially. So it's exciting. It's great. These guys are getting shots. They're well names. And the fact that they were at one point a tag team, the fact that they've dissolved now 2 tag teams, which I know we'll get into the other one a little bit later on, so I won't spoil it. But, right. With Enzo and Cass, dissolving them, possibly tonight, Breezango could be dissolved at Battleground, the fact that they have a potential tag team coming in would be great. I'm excited for it. That would be incredible. And even if they want to be singles competitors, it'd be even better because it allows them to grow in that aspect as well. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. I'm an absolute mark for Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. I think those guys, the sky's the limit. I mean, even though, again, Fish is 36, 37 years old, like, he can start over now. He can go in, carry his name, and be somebody completely different. And you never know. He might catch fire, and the main office be like, holy shit, this guy's really good. Let's Adam, I'm going to use your phrase. Let's tie that rocket to his butt, send him off the stratosphere here. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I'm excited to see if they're going to be tag team. Are they going to be singles wrestlers? I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for it. We touched on this a little bit earlier. We kind of glossed over it. It's my fault as host. I should have steered the ship a little better there. History was made at that G1 tournament. Ben, we talked about it before, Adam. They unveiled a new title in IWGP first time in 40-some years. And we kind of glossed over it earlier, but I really want to talk about the impact of Kenny Omega becoming the first ever IWGP US champion. I figured it would be either him or Jay Lethal because they're names that American fans are really, really familiar with. And I don't know if you guys saw it or not. He had a really, really impassioned speech after he won the title. He kind of broke character a little bit and basically just thanked the fans. He was like, without us, without you guys, we're nothing. Like, you guys are the show. We're just kind of there. It was really heartfelt. It was really good. And then, of course, he went back into character saying, as long as you have us steering the ship, everything will be fine, blah, blah. But it was a really, really good way to kind of crown a new champion, to have it be Kenny Omega. Adam, when you heard it was Kenny Omega, were you kind of like, that's about where I figured, or were you kind of surprised they went with him and not like Jay?
No, that's about what I figured. I mean, even though I really don't have time to spend, watching him, it seems to me that, around the wrestling community, he's generally viewed as one of, for sure, and if not the best non-WWE competitor out there. So,
hands down.
Just like you said, I mean, it lends automatic credibility to the belt, which is important. You pretty much have to go with a guy like that when you're introducing a title if you want to be taken seriously. Hint, hint, WWE, you should try and do that as well. So, to me, it made perfect sense, and it was the right move.
Yeah. Ben, what were your thoughts on hearing Omega won? Because it was kind of weird. He took on Ishii in the finals. Again, I thought it was ready-made to have him take on Jay Lethal in the finals. The way they set up the bracket, that couldn't happen. So what are your thoughts on having Kenny Omega be the first ever U.S. champion for the IWGP?
I thought it was interesting because you and I thought it was going to be,
Lethal.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be Jay Lethal. So,
yep.
And either way, you really can't do anything wrong.
Right.
With either one of with either one of them, I think Jay Lethal would have been more perfect. I think just because I believe he's earned it. I think he's another guy that is in the upper echelon, and I would put him ahead of Omega and guys that never had the shot at WWE that is just really, really good. In all honesty, and I think it would have been a nice little tip of the cap for him to usher in, that era. It would have been great if you did it with, the American Nightmare. There were so many ways you could go with it. And the fact that Omega gets it, though, I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo anything Omega's done because he is extremely good at what he does. His voice is a little irritating, but his mic skills are incredible. And his in-ring talent surpasses any of that combined. So the fact that he's the first one to hold the title, it's amazing. It's awesome. Good for him. It's a nice crowning achievement because you are the first of a mashup of two major, not only continents but brands that will build that bridge across the Pacific Ocean. It's a great honor. Tip the cap to him.
Yeah, and you mentioned the American Nightmare. They couldn't do it to Cody because he got the Ring of Honor World Champion now.
Right.
So they probably weren't. They probably weren't going to strap. I mean, clearly they would know that ahead of time. But you know, the match he had with Okada at that event, holy Moses, was that match outstanding! Like, I've been watching a lot of wrestling the past like 3 months. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm watching everything, especially now that I'm on the DL. And I've been, you know, every time I see something that makes me drop my jaw, like in a match, I'll put down like, as a potential match of the year candidate. Now, clearly, as the year goes on, I'll go back and I'll watch them. I'll eliminate these as we get closer to our year-end special. But you know, I mean oh my God, Cody Rhodes and Kazuchika Okada. If you haven't seen it yet, woo, go find it. It's one of those matches that it's outstanding. It was so good from start to finish. Finishing moves, outside interference, but not like not like a ton of it. I mean, it was just top to bottom. It was amazing. The next thing I want to talk to is, Ben, you alluded to it. It's a storyline that I absolutely hate, but I guess it was kind of a given. Jason Jordan has been unveiled as Kurt Angle's son, illegitimate or whatever, however you want to look at it. I hate this storyline. I don't feel that it needs. It's a storyline that I don't feel it needs to be made. But I guess it was kind of their gift wrap. I kind of figured eventually he'd cross paths with American Alpha Boys. I just didn't think it would go this way. Adam, what are your thoughts on it? Because I hate the storyline. I think it's stupid, but it is what it is. They're going to go with it. What are your thoughts?
To me, I'll try and let it play out and see if there's a bigger point. But just on first blush, this is just a completely asinine storyline.
Yep.
First off, I don't see what the point of it is that he had an illegitimate son and he was supposedly trying to get blackmailed. Like, are we supposed to believe that like it's not okay to have a biracial or mixed race son? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the whole lead up to it with that being the reveal. What's the issue?
I agree.
You know, it's a terrible setup, and I don't see any way for it to be entertaining to move forward. I understand, like, naturally there was going to be a Kurt Angle, American Alpha, you know, angle at some point, but I just feel like they took the most ass route possible to get there.
Yeah.
And it makes zero sense to me. And I can't see this doing anything else but failing.
Yeah. Ben, I want to get your thoughts, but I want to ask you a question on this. We all know Adam's got a really creative mind with this. We said it before, you know, his fantasy book. Do you think this was just a way to break up American Alpha because they feel like Jason Jordan's like the next big thing? Pardon the pun. And what are your thoughts on this angle?
One, I think breaking up American Alpha is a mistake.
Yep.
Because Chad Gable is incredible, and I know they won't let him survive on his own.
Right.
Like, just because, like I said, we know the WWE likes to squash people, and I know Chad Gable's going to be the one squashed. I love their little storyline in NXT when Gable wouldn't leave Jordan alone at the training facility and be like, dude, man, I know you need a tag partner. Let's be tag partners. He'd be like, no, leave me alone. He's like, then he would give him like the promotional towels. He's like, I don't want these. He's like, it's okay. I got 100 of them. It's fine. It was awesome. They had a good chemistry, and they always put on good tag matches. And it's something that, you know, outside of on Raw with the Hardy Boys and with Cesaro and
Sheamus.
Yeah, thank you. You know, those are the only two tag teams competing for titles. It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have a very young, up-and-coming tag team that people will like. Like, no one hates American Alpha at all. And then, yeah, you run with this storyline. I don't like it. I know that there was rumors that they were going to rerun the Stephanie McMahon, Kurt Angle, you know, like love story that they did when, you know, when Steph was, you know, 15 years younger, because it happened like 15 years ago. And they were going to rerun that and, you know, basically like kind of set up this epic feud between Kurt Angle and Triple H to fight one more time at WrestleMania, basically for Stephanie McMahon, kind of like how they did with Ric Flair and Macho Man for Miss Elizabeth, kind of doing that. And I know that was thrown out there, which would have been a mistake because Stephanie is a very good, family woman. Triple H is a very good family man, and to accept that would just be asinine. So I don't like it at all. Basically, long and short of it, I don't like it. I think it's bizarre. I think it's stupid. I think it's crazy. And the only thing that you can tie the two together is that they both like amateur wrestling. Cool. Great. Now what? Like, now what? What's there? What is it? Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And I don't think they even have that answer.
No, I agree with you. I think it was just a way to break up American Alpha because WWE they love what they see in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Like maybe they preferred Gable, so they're putting him on the show with the quote unquote better talent. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with this. And the better talent thing is purely subjective. I'm a SmackDown guy. I like the roster more. I like what they do more. I think their match quality is better. That's purely subjective. Who knows?
Well,
I just think it was a way for them to break them up.
But SmackDown actually allows their wrestlers to grow. Like, That's the thing, right? Like, Raw still, in my opinion, is the better show. But it's
really?
Yeah, because they have more names, in my opinion. That's why.
Well, they have an extra hour, so.
Well, right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that by default makes it a better show. But I like what SmackDown does. Like, SmackDown does allow everyone to get involved in everything. Like, they don't have these weird barriers. They don't have these weird unwritten rules of, hey, we're going to squash you and you're going to like it.
Right.
At some point or another, everyone on that roster gets showcased. You had freaking Heath Slater and Rhino for a while become a thing. And but SmackDown made them a thing, right? So, like, you can't, like, and now, Heath Slater, who is basically on life support, is now back in action, out of nowhere. So it obviously works. I'm sitting here, I look at, what's coming up for Battleground. I'm excited by it still, even though the card doesn't seem that great. They brought back the Punjabi prison match. I mean, they're being innovative. Like, I mean, I don't hate SmackDown, but I still think Raw is the better show. That's just,
and that's fine. I prefer SmackDown. I feel personally they're a better show, even though Raw has quote unquote more names. Yeah, they do, but I don't know. I just feel like.
Plus, I hate
Raw,
John Cena. I'll be honest. If John Cena was gone, it would be SmackDown the whole way.
And that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and poo-poo it. I get it. That's completely fair. I just appreciate what they're doing more, other than that ridiculous flag match crap. But we'll get into that. I wanted to ask you guys a question before I went into this topic. I'll mention it for the last time. I watched CWC, blah blah blah. Ben, you just mentioned the Punjabi prison match, which is a perfect segue for this. After watching that Cruiserweight tournament, I am absolutely furious. They're not doing anything with the Sierra brothers, the Bollywood boys, whatever you want to call them. Those guys are freaking good, man. I mean, I know they both got bounced in the first round and they didn't show a whole lot, but the stuff they did show, like, I was entertained by them. I thought they were really, really good. I don't mind them carrying the bag for Jinder Mahal. I get it. It makes sense for them to kind of be like his mouthpiece to a degree. I get it, but I really want to see SmackDown do something with them as a tag team. I mean, do you guys think I'm way off base here? Adam, we'll go to you.
I mean, I don't necessarily think, like, they're missing the boat on it. I would agree that, they could do more than what they're doing now. Because really, all they've kind of done is just interfere in matches, and Randy Orton almost killed one of them when he threw him on the announce
twice.
table.
He's almost killed one of them twice, Adam. Twice.
But so could they do more than that? Sure, but I don't know. I don't see the crowds really getting behind them, so I don't think like they're completely dropping the ball.
Well, I know in the CWC the crowds reacted nicely to them because when they came out and they were announced, like, the people knew who they were. I didn't. when they came out and they were with Jinder Mahal, and they were, oh, that's the Bollywood Boys. I'm like, who the F is the Bollywood Boys? I had no clue. But, I'm just like, okay, clearly I'm thinking they're an independent tag team. No, they've been in the system for a little while. So, like, going back and watching them wrestle, like, do I think they're spectacular? No, but I think they're better than just being, Randy Orton ragdolls. Ben, what do you think?
I honestly think at this point the WWE sees no value in tag teams.
That's true.
So I think they just like it's evident. It's almost painfully obvious. So whatever they want to do with the talent they have at this point, we already know we're not going to like it because, like I said, creative has sucked for the past 2 years. I'll be more than happy to quit my day job and work in Florida and just lock me in a room with 3 guys and write crap. I don't care.
Yeah, they need to do something. I agree.
It's awful.
On to the last top. It is. It's lazy, and it's just, something I noticed during that tournament. All 3 Arab guys got bounced in the first round. Them 2 and Davari. But all 3 Japanese guys went on. Like, what the hell is that? Like, did anybody even remotely give a flying wet fart that Tajiri was in that tournament? No. Oh, cool. Look, that's Tajiri. He should have been bounced in the first round. but they all went on. I don't know. It's just stupid. But getting to the last topic, Adam mentioned it earlier. We have a pay-per-view tonight. I honestly don't remember who the reigning champion is. I believe it's Adam.
It's totally Adam.
Okay.
You know why it's
Adam?
Because Adam likes to use equalizers.
Okay. We're not going to open that bag of worms again. So
you know what wins that argument? I have the belt and you don't.
Exactly. But I mean, I complain about it, but the thing is, I also freely allow it, so it's okay.
It's very tongue in cheek.
It is. It's totally tongue in cheek. But that's how I know Adam has the belt. So yeah.
We're getting into Battleground tonight. An event that on paper looks dreadful, but it'll probably end up being pretty good. I don't know. That's the way WWE works. We'll start off with the match that I want to see least because I think the premise of it is stupid. We're going to go to the flag match where the winner has to pull their flag off the pole, carry it up the top of the ramp, and plug it into a flagpole base. Rusev representing Bulgaria, Cena USA. I'm going to take Cena because I just feel it's too blatantly obvious. Ben, what are your thoughts?
How does Captain America not win in his first pay-per-view back?
There you go.
Yeah.
Adam?
Yeah, this is more of a free square than Charlotte, to be honest. This feud is stupid because it's been done about 8 billion times. And if you think John freaking Cena is losing a flag match on his first pay-per-view back, yeah, I'm sorry. I got nothing for you. It's John
Especially after it was announced on July 4th they were going to
Come on, again. The bigger free space than Charlotte Flair right now.
Yeah.
The kickoff match has been announced for, I believe, the 83rd time in the past 2 months. Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English. I'm going to go with Dillinger. Ben, where are you going?
See, I don't want to go Dillinger. I want to go Aiden English, but I can't. So, Dillinger.
That's fair. Adam?
Yeah, we got another clean sweep. It's not going to matter much in the long run, but Dillinger will get the crowd fired up, get ready for the pay-per-view. He'll take.
Right. We have. This is the match that I'm most excited for, and you guys will roll your eyes and go crazy, but whatever. Sami Zayn versus Mike Kanellis Bennett, which I cannot call him Mike Kanellis because that's his wife's name. We all know his name is Mike Bennett. I can't call him Kanellis. Sami Zayn versus Mike Kanellis Bennett. I'm going to go with Bennett getting his first win at a pay-per-view. Ben, what are you thinking?
See, the thing is, I know Sami Zayn will do anything for the company, so that would not surprise me. And I think with the crappy debut promo that they both did, that the Kanellises did, they need something to put them over, and a loss is not it. So I will go with the crappy Kanellises.
I hate the character and the gimmick and all that, but I love the song.
We're gonna bring love.
Oh,
no.
It's so stupid. But I love the song, though. I do like their entrance. Adam, what are your thoughts? Sami Zayn or Mike Bennett?
Yeah, unfortunately, we got to sweep again. Cause, I mean, look, it's Bennett's first big pay-per-view match. They didn't bring him in to job, and especially to Sami Zayn, who they have jobbed repeatedly to other guys. Sami Zayn's not going over here. I'd be utterly shocked.
I agree. 5-way elimination match. Winner becomes the number one contender for Naomi's title. Lana versus Natalya versus Mina versus Becky versus Charlotte. Charlotte has become a jobber on SmackDown, which is fine because what's much left is there for her to do. I'm going to go with Lana in this match, which makes me want to barf, but I just think she's going to get it. I think she's going to get it, and she's going to get the title at their next pay-per-view. It'll be Lana going over, I think. Gross. Ben.
I want to say Becky Lynch, but with the Money in the Bank briefcase out there, this match really doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So Becky Lynch twice in the ladder match almost got that briefcase. That's why I want to go with Becky Lynch. I agree.
Right.
Charlotte hasn't done anything, and I think that's by design. I think she's okay just being whatever.
Yep. Let's put it this way: she's made Tamina, who I absolutely adore. I love Tamina. I think she kind of gets a bad rap. She's made Tamina look really good.
Yeah. I hate myself. I'm going Lana. I'm so I hate myself. Yeah. I don't.
No, believe me. When I wrote down these picks, I was like, God damn. I don't. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Adam. What do you got?
Even though 5-way matches are always hard to tell, and even though it's Carmella does have Money in the Bank briefcase, I'll still go Charlotte. At some point, SmackDown has to let her do something. So if there's already the Money in the Bank, and she might not have just a singles match for the title. The other four, I'd like to pick Becky Lynch, but what's she done lately?
Yep.
And the other three, I'm sorry, just go away.
Oh, believe me, I'm not happy at all picking Lana. Like, I kind of screw up as I said it.
Well, but here,
and probably should have, but I'm going to go Charlotte.
Well, but here's the thing with Lana too. She's fought Naomi twice, and this just gives her them another excuse to keep that rivalry going.
And they're kind of building up like Mina's almost like her bodyguard. So I can see her kind of doing the job to let Lana get it. There's so many different ways they can go with it. So I think by hook or by crook, I think Lana's going to get it, and that bothers me clearly. A potential match tonight, which I don't know, it could steal the show. Nakamura versus Corbin. Corbin just went over at the Money in the Bank match. I'm going to go with Nakamura here. Ben, where are you going?
Got to go with my man, Baron Corbin. Even though Nakamura is totally going to win this match, and this is where I get screwed over in the predictions, I'm going Corbin.
No, I think Lana might have done that for us, Ben. Time will tell. Adam, who are you taking, Nakamura or Corbin? I think I know where you're going.
I have to go Nakamura. It's funny because Ben always says, "Oh, here's where my prediction goes wrong," but yet he always predicts him, and then he won't win.
Well, it's like when Marty goes, "I didn't research this, so I'm just gonna go." It like does like the whole finger like and just randomly points at someone, and you're like, "No, what are you doing?" And he's like, "No, I'm gonna do it anyways." It's like okay, man, I guess, but yeah.
I mean, it would make more sense for Corbin to go over, keep the momentum going. I don't know. I just don't see him beating Nakamura in a one-on-one match.
Here's the thing: he can lose to Nakamura, and he still has the briefcase.
Right,
and he'll still be a threat to win the title every time out.
Yep. And like, regardless who wins that, I'm going to be happy. I love both those guys. The next match will the tag titles: the Usos versus the New Day. I'm going to go New Day on this one. I really don't want to see them get it from the Usos just yet, but I think it's time. I don't think it's time. I just think it's going to happen. So I'm going to go with New Day on this one. Ben?
I'm going to go New Day only because if the Usos didn't walk out of the match at Money in the Bank, they would have lost. So, New Day.
Adam?
I'm going to go with the Usos. I think they hold the belts until SummerSlam, and then that's when the New Day finally wins. Even if the Usos have to use chairs or something to get out of it tonight,
right?
We're this close. It makes most sense to just let it happen at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean that's where I would prefer to see New Day get the titles. I don't know. These weird, stupid, insignificant pay-per-views, big things have been happening with these lately, or at least maybe not big things, but bigger things than should be happening. that's what I see being the big deal tonight. New Day getting titles. U.S. title match, Styles defending against Owens. I see Styles keeping it, so that's where I'm going with it. Ben,
Styles. Styles all day, all night, and twice on Sundays.
He's going to win twice tonight because it is Sunday. Adam, you're up.
AJ Styles all day, just like Ben said. Too easy.
Okay, we have, I think, one match left. Let's see here. Yep, one match left. The WWE title on the line in the Punjabi prison match. Mahal defending against Orton. A lot of things gearing. Looks like Orton's going to get it. All the momentum's kind of on his side. He's been getting kind of the better of Mahal. I don't see him losing it yet, so I'm going to go with Mahal. Ben?
It's funny because we gave this move a lot of swerve and dank and all any word you want to say for bad. I think Mahal's actually been a perfect champion. He's been a perfect heel champion.
Yep.
And I don't see any reason for him to lose tonight. So I pick Jinder Mahal.
Adam?
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be Mahal. And I know probably nobody's really happy about it because we had all pretty much panned this move, and I still don't think it's, I don't know, I haven't been that wildly entertained about it. But honestly, I will say Mahal's probably done as well as he could have with, I hate to say it, but Randy Orton pretty much mailing it in, and you can tell he's mailing it in. So Mahal's done an admirable job put in a spot where he really wasn't set up for success on multiple levels. But he keeps it tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that match will actually be pretty good. Somehow the Bollywood boys are going to get in there. I don't know how. I don't know if they'll drop them in from the ceiling. I don't know how they're going to get in, but they'll be in there somehow. It's going to be entertaining, but I just see Mahal. He's going to retain. He's been really good. I mean, the program hasn't been phenomenal, but I also think that's because of who he's been working with. We all know I'm not a big Randy Orton guy. I just don't get the hype over it, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's all I have for us. Ben, you got anything you want to talk about?
No, just the usual. If there's Lions training camp starts a week from Monday, so Lions SRD will be in full go from there. Probably recording a show sometime next week to preview anything in training camp. Out of Bounds every Monday and Thursday on Facebook Live. If you want to see Dan Griffin's beautiful face up and close, there's Dan Cam. So you can watch that way. If not, catch them Tuesday and Fridays on demand. The SRD Roadshow on Saturdays from 9 to 11 on crbradio.com, and then on demand on sportsradiodetroit.com. Mitten Sports every Sunday from 10 to 12. Same thing. They are live on CRB Radio. If you want to catch them on demand, they're here on sportsradiodetroit.com. We have the Michigan Sports Truth with Taylor Phillips. We have Whippin' Nene, which now the Triple Crown has been over, but if you want to see how Pete Spivak does a show, it's a really good show. You can listen to that. Tigers SRD, as the Tigers are approaching that trade deadline, which is a week from Monday as well. Will they sell? Probably. Are they going to? Who they sell? We don't know. Ian Kinsler's name is now being thrown into trade talks. Obviously, Justin Verlander, Justin Wilson, Alex Avila. All those names are out there. So yeah, we have a lot of shows for you, a lot of content. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Adam's going to have a preview for the AFC East for fantasy sports, get you primed for any draft that's up and coming. And there's other written pieces. Ray Viapon is going to have another boxing piece that's going to be posted soon as well. So we have content all day, every day for you. So no worries.
Adam, you got anything you want to add?
No, man. Ben nailed everything that's going on. So like we always say, if you can't find something here, it's probably your problem.
Yep, I agree. Couldn't have said it any better. For Adam and Ben, I'm Marty. Take you guys outside the ring.